These are the photographs of what I will call the Peruvian Vimana. The material here was kindly provided by Julio Amaya Lopez. Below is an excerpt from the manuscript sent by Julio Amaya. My uncle was a soldier named Wilder Rubio. He was married to my aunt, Maria Gutierrez. In the early 2000s, my uncle worked in a supermarket, but he was recruited to work with the Air Force. He was part of a squadron specializing in jungle combat, and that squadron soon underwent a series of training around 2004. At that time, my uncle Wilder believed that the Peruvian armed forces were seeking to form an elite army for combat in the jungle, along the lines of Brazilian groups. He even took a jungle course in Acre that same year. Gradually it became clear that the squadron my uncle had joined was being prepared for something more. The exercises and disciplines were more specialized than just combat. They were receiving training in doing jungle combat exercises with U.S. teams. Gradually my uncle realized that all the combat training was a front for working with what he called Problem X. Problem X, as you might guess, is about extraterrestrial activity. No one treated the matter with disbelief or jest. And what he was saying was that there was a real problem of trespassing and the authorities were very concerned about the incidence of cases. My uncle even mentioned an entire tribe being taken away. He said they believed the foreigners' base was located in a densely forested region in northern Brazil called Vale do Javari. This became clearer when a new radar tracking system was installed. There was traffic arriving from space in this area and then fading out and X-traffic coming in right there consistently. In training he learned that this activity began in the late 1960s, increasing in intensity and migrating from the east coast of Brazil to the interior north towards the Amazon. In the 1970s, activity intensified brutally and declined in the 1980s, to gradually increase in intensity after the turn of the 2000s, moving westwards. Supposedly, this activity is shifting as our planet's magnetic field changes. The monitoring services that operate in partnership between the U.S. and Brazil had already located unusual traffic that had been occurring daily, always at the same time in this region. There were always two small ships, less than 30 meters in diameter, which appeared on the radars near Ipaxuna and moved at great speed southwest towards Pucallpa in Peru. By order of Washington, this traffic was ambushed on a date that my uncle could not specify, but he remembered that it was in the month of May 2005. On that date, the black helicopters sent from the United States were already on standby in Pucallpa. My uncle said that these black helicopters had no identification or prefix, and were equipped with an electromagnetic pulse cannon and some kind of laser device, as well as night vision. This X-traffic was accompanied by planes from the Brazilian Air Force, which took off from Cruzeiro do Sul Airport in a secret operation. This cooperative effort between Brazil-Peru and the United States resulted in success, as X-traffic was successfully intercepted and brought down in a densely forested region already in Peruvian territory. The object was a metal alloy spacecraft, which split into two parts when colliding with a tree near a tributary of the Ucayali River. The disaster site was discovered after 2 days of sweeps where the uncle and his group followed for identification and rescue. At the wreck site, the first 2 days were spent cleaning and preparing for helicopters from Lima to bring equipment and return with parts. A clearing was opened and rescue work began afterwards. In the accident, 7 bodies of beings were located, some of different species. Of the 7 bodies, only 3 were in good condition. All were dead. The first was a woman with no hair, about 6 feet tall. The appearance was human, with orientalized features. She had a partially charred arm. She had crawled out from under the wreckage and sought shelter in the woods, where she ended up dying. The place where she was found showed clear signs that she had crawled in agony. The second body was the most impressive. He was in some kind of sealed capsule, a type of coffin. It was a huge being. They called him the Giant. He was nearly 10 feet tall and a heavy-set bearded man with long hair, which my uncle said was very stiff, like wire. He had reddish skin, and he used gold elements as adornments. He wore the same metallic mesh as the woman and boots. It was too heavy. My uncle didn't exactly say so, but I believe this giant was in some state of suspended animation in the capsule when the accident occurred. Another different being was what they called Big Head, which was found in a type of cockpit attached to the hardware. My uncle believed he was the pilot of the Vimana. There were other bodies, but in poor condition, all dismembered, some unrecognizable. These bodies were those of the bald woman species. The only one with hair was the giant. Along with the beings, plaques with unknown inscriptions made of solid gold were found, which left everyone very impressed. It was my uncle who took these photographs. He was in the service of the Air Force Intelligence Department in that operation, and he was responsible for making several records, which would later be handed over to a man named Chato who would meet him in Lima. However, my uncle said that after the U.S. detachments took over operations after 9 days, the Brazilian and Peruvian teams were ordered to withdraw and he returned to Lima. A major would have requested the photographs. My uncle delivered some, but not all. He said he doesn't know what happened to the wreckage. The man called Chato never came forward, and my uncle Wilder decided it might be best not to ask questions lest his loyalty be jeopardized. Months later, he received an invitation to work in a specialized civil squad. Through a consultancy called Y Solutions, he joined a group organized by a company called Triple C from the United States. He also referred to a company called WVM, or VWM, I don't remember that detail exactly. The salary offered was very attractive and he didn't think twice. As soon as he started working for Triple C, he was sent as a mercenary to deal with an FX problem in Afghanistan in 2006. But he got there quite sick. My uncle believed that he had been exposed to contamination in the recovery of the wreckage in the forest in 2005. All those involved probably died sometime later and suffered from deteriorating health. Triple C sent my uncle back to Markavilka with little money, no medical support, no help or explanation. My uncle died on December 6, 2006, shortly after arriving in Peru. According to doctors, he had severe leukemia. I believe he was exposed to some form of radiation. He told his whole story before he died. He had made 4 rolls of film in that operation. I'm uploading some of the best images, as a tribute to my uncle, Wilder Gutierrez, who was used and discarded, like an old garment that no longer fits. To our family, he was always a hero. These photos are his legacy.